Okay, this is Tepid with Legion TCG, and here I am with Kid, member of the server. And you've got for us some red base Blackwargreymon that you took undefeated at your most recent store champs.
Yeah, correct. Yes.
Okay, awesome, man. If you don't mind just like running us through the list.
No, not a problem. You want me to start now?
Yeah, yeah, go for it, man.
Yeah. So we only
I'm
have the
already
four
liking that
eggs,
Koromon. I'm already liking
which
him.
is the playset of box topper Coromon's got to be done.
That 1k DP is so valuable in this deck because you're
Oh,
not getting. Sometimes you're not getting those full DP buffs.
oh, 100%. The whole point of this deck, I wanted to build it so it was kind of controlly, being able to basically just swing over anything, and this just giving your Agumons the ability to be able to swing over stuff as well. If your opponent swung early with rookies and everything and still survive, you can then build up a stack if they then go on to
That
being able to
that's a
live.
very key thing people do not remember about that card is that it does give an Agumon buff, which is relevant because I'm assuming you play the Agumon X. And you can do some funny
Yes, yeah.
things attacking with like a 5k rookie. But yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
exactly. Yeah. So,
Let's actually
speaking
get
of
to that.
Agumons,
Let's get to that rookie
sorry.
lineup. Let's get to that rookie lineup. This is pretty contentious.
Yep. So we have the four promo Agumons.
Okay, okay.
Easily the best Agumon in the deck. This is the one you want to be digivolving over your Coromon with. So this into your BT5 Greymon basically makes your Black War Greys like 17k. So you're swinging over pretty much anything in the game.
That's the most important threshold.
Yeah, exactly. So you can basically swing over everything. But these are fairly expensive. So if you do want to try this deck, you can just basically replace it with like the start deck one
Starter deck
Agumon.
7 Red Agumon or Starter deck 1 Red Agumon are both viable. Probably the
Oh,
sevens. You're still
definitely.
hitting that 2K, but
Yeah. With the Coromon, it basically makes the start deck one Agumon basically equivalent to the promo.
mm-hmm.
So then we've got the four BT5 Agumon, just searches you out with Greymon.
or an
This,
Omnimon that can grab you both depending on how you're playing it.
yep, or an Omnimon, but we're not actually playing any Omnimon in this list. There's actually one thing I would change about the deck, but I'll get into that a bit later
Okay,
on.
okay.
So yeah, this plus some of the other cards we've got is the reason we're not playing stuff like Red Memory Boost or anything because the deck isn't needed. It's not needed. It's the same reason we're not playing the fifth Coromon, which is like the draw one,
Mm-hmm.
because there was a time over Tuesday that I almost decked out because of the searches and stuff like that. So
Well, the issue is you're not in these Greymon strategies. Unlike other decks, you're not going into anything super valuable. So like having too much in your grip can actually be a negative against you sometimes.
yeah, exactly. It's just like the search is much more valuable than say the draw or
Mm-hmm.
whatever. So and then we've got the four Argue X. This card
Another huge,
is just
huge.
stupid. This card is so good. Being able to essentially go +2 off of this with the draw off Digivolution and then the add is just phenomenal. This got me out of so many sticky situations with the Greymon X because I'll go over this, go over a standard Agumon with the Greymon X, and then I can just trash this and the other Agumon to be able to survive it, which actually saved one of my guys because they didn't realize I could save my War Grey or Black War Grey from a
No,
Gaia Force.
and
But
that's
they Gaia Forced.
and they
Sorry.
just played right into you, pretty much, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah. So my opponent basically passed me like 6 memory to Gaia Force my Black War Grey, but I had a Greymon X under it with 2 Agumon. So I was like, okay, I'll just trash my 2 Agumons to save it. And then he passed me over so much memory, I was then able to build up another stack, basically clear his board with one, go into a Galmon, and then swing for game essentially.
Now it's good, and it's good you bring up like the card advantage. So I was going to say with a hardcasted BT5 Agu and that boy right there, you're going to get one off the draw. Each of those cards can grab you two separate cards. You can get as many of 5 cards off of three memory, which is
Oh,
obscene.
exactly. And like if you have a memory setter on board, you play Nokia, you play this searching, and then you instantly digivolve back into a Agumon X to then get another essentially +2 off of that. So the Nokia being able to play your Agumons, but the amount of times I digivolved into BT5 Agumon because it's the only one I had and drew into the promo Agumon over Tuesday just felt bad. Last of the rookies, we have the two BT8 Agumon. On play, search top four, added Greymon and a Dragonkin. You don't need any more than two because you're only playing like the four black level 4s. So if you ever play any more than this and you're stuck in raising on him and you don't see your Blackwargreymon,
X either to kind of
yeah,
go over the
you're
top
kind
of
of,
that. No, that can be very tricky. These kind of like
yeah.
off colorless like rookies can actually set you up. Okay.
Yeah, but the fact that he can like get you your Galmon, your and your Blackwargreymons, if you see both of them. There was a time I played this, and my top 4 cards were all Metal Greymon. I was
Oh,
like,
that's so
oh, okay.
unfortunate. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
signs
this
of
was against the
losing.
D Reaper. This was against D Reaper as well. I'm sitting there thinking, I'm seriously going to have to like be conservative with this Metal Greymon because I need it to swing over the mother because the other 3 have just gone to the bottom of the deck. So that was rather annoying. But moving on to level 4s. 4 BT8 Greymon. People underestimate how good the blocker is. The blocker on this actually saved me so many times against the red hybrid matchup. Like I said earlier, he went to Gaia Force. I saved my Blackwargreymon. He passed me like 5. I then hard played this and then digivolved it into a Greymon X just to have the blocker because he still had 1 dude left in raising, no Digimon on board, and I basically had to swing over everything on his board. So I needed a blocker. So as I said, I hard played this, digivolved into a Greymon X just to then get that blocker. So if he did go into anything or push his dude out and raising, he then couldn't go for game, and I could then go for game the following turn.
It's really reflective. It feels a lot like the old version of Red where you were playing the Courgemons, and you would be put in those scenarios where, I can win, but I just need to establish one blocker by that turn. And since everyone's towering with these big stacks, one blocker can really mess up their math.
Yeah, and yeah, precisely. And he's also 6k. So if you have the promo Agumon under him and the Koromon, you're essentially being able to swing over level 5s because he'll be like 9k, whereas most level 5s tend to cap out around 7, 8k.
Great number for security too.
Precisely.
Really
So you can swing and then potentially go into like a Metal Grey just to buff him up a bit. So it's make it harder for your opponent to then swing over him next turn. You get Digivolve and a potential delete off the Metal Greymon as well. So I wouldn't sleep on this Greymon, definitely not. It helped me win so many games over the Tuesday. The best Greymon in the deck is the 4 BT5 Greymon.
Now, we haven't gotten to it, but you're playing the Nokias, I assume you mentioned her.
Yes. Yeah.
So he's not only that, but like, how many times were you able to do the interaction where you had more than one Nokia and he gained you memory?
Oh, several times. It happens more times than you'd think, to be honest. There are times I'd play Nokia just to be able to get him out for free and to gain me a memory, like the following turn. Because if you have a memory setter on board and you have just an Agumon in raising, you can then push that Agumon out, tap 2 Nokias, go into him, gain a memory setting user 4, then gives you a free Metal Greymon. You can then digivolve something, and then to pass turn, you could potentially go into a Blackwargreymon to then pop said Digimon or any of their tamers. Yes, you're passing over 4 memory, but you're potentially clearing their board, starting them from scratch. So the extra memory he gains you is just silly.
And then he has 2k buff on top of that, which is just
phenomenal. Yeah. Which is another reason why I like him so much, because it's helping your Blackwargreymons then push over thresholds. Say Mother, for example, which is the biggest one at the moment. Or any ex-ante, because they just buff themselves to like high heaven pretty much during your opponent's turn.
It's really great you get to take advantage of this, because I think like recently we actually put up the Wargrey X video on the channel, and I can't really use this guy, and it's a complete tragedy. I end up playing the BT1, the 4-cost generic buffer, but like you're actually getting to play the deck with the Nokias, so you can do those plays where drop the Nokia, search with the Agu, potentially go into an Agu X, continue to gain cards, go into this boy for free, and then still have the setup for your level 5.
Yeah, exactly. But the thing is with the BT1 Greymon is a 4-cost, so you could potentially play him over this to just, like, if you're at 3 and that's the only one you have because he's a 4-cost, you can play him and then memory check at 1. But the only reason I play him is because he gives you that 1 memory back. And as I said, if you've got the 2 Nokias on board, you then go to 4, which gives you a free Metal Greymon.
Exactly.
Last of the level 4s is the 4 Greymon X.
Goes without saying, Protection Claws.
It's a delicate plan on a body, essentially. And it's an extra draw if you digivolve off a Greymon. see this plus all the other X anti-Digimon we have, all the searches we have, like I said before, is the reason you don't need red memory boost.
You're
And
definitely
you just
playing a
Digivolve.
more consistent version. A lot of these lists get pretty greedy, but I like that your entire level 3 to 4 basis, you're not really in a situation where you're probably going to end up bricking, which can just be so costly right now.
I bricked a couple of times, mainly on like level 5s, but the Agrumons and, like I say, these and the X antibodies and stuff like that help that. So if I was to brick on a level 5, it'd literally be only for the turn, because I'd either Digivolve into this, I'd play an Agumon to search out. So it wouldn't take me very long at all to be able to get into my level 5s.
Now that's where I'm actually very interested, is what are we doing for level 5s here? Because there's a few ways you
Right.
can go. I know one of them.
Yeah, one of them is the obvious one, which is the 4 BT8 Metal Greymon.
This guy puts in so much work. He is a house.
He's by far the best card in the deck. 100% the best card in the deck. And funnily enough, over Tuesday, I actually found myself Digivolving into him in Raising a lot more than out front. Because of this OTK meta, your opponent's basically bringing out a big board, swinging. If you have him in security, that completely changes their game plan, because he allows you to swing over unsuspended Digimon. So if you have him sitting in Raising, they're then going to think, well, if I pull this out, he's then just going to be able to swing over it. So it basically helps you survive a little bit longer knowing he's in Raising. So don't ever be afraid to like Digivolve him in Raising, because yes, you don't have the Digivolution or the deletion of the 3K, but you save him, and then it's putting a threat on board next turn for when you push him out to then go into like your Blackwargreys and stuff.
No, it's a house of a card. It is a game ender in and of itself in a lot of categories.
Oh, definitely. You would never play any less than 4 of him. He's too strong. We have 2 Metal Greymon X antibody.
Okay, this I am a little bit surprised in, because at least in the red variant, this thing is just so good, but you're playing more of a controlling game, so I can see why you're maybe having him at 2. How did he do for you?
The main reason I have him is not actually for the security attack +1. It came up, but that's not the reason I play him. It's an extra draw because you get to Digivolve off of a Metal Greymon for 0.
Right.
And if you do Digivolve off a Metal Greymon, he gains an extra 3k even during your opponent's turn.
Yes. You can.
So if you've Digivolved your Metal Greymon over the BT8 Greymon, and then gone up into a Metal Greymon, then into him, and then to a Blackwargreymon, your Blackwargreymon is in a 15k blocker.
I didn't even think about that. No, yeah, just that floating, because I always liked it as a protecting of your stack afterwards, after you've already done your attack. Once you've survived, you're not sitting on a really fragile 11k or 12k body, but with that, you can just sit there as a blocker.
Yeah, exactly. So you can swing with this, potentially, and then if your opponent has a Digimon on board, you can either go into a Blackwargreymon, pop said Digimon, and then unsuspend, and then you've got a 14k blocker next turn. Or if you go into a Galmon who has reboot, you then have a 16k blocker next turn. So the numbers is just crazy that he lets you then block over bigger dudes.
Now is it 6 level 5s or?
Yeah, I do have. I have 2 more level 5s. So that'll be 8 level 5s. Last level 5s, we have 2 Alteros mode.
Right.
The promo Alteros mode. Again, he Digivolves 0 over a Metal Greymon, so it's an additional card draw. If you have a Tamer on board, he deletes something with 5k or less, but then he has the same inheritable as the Greymon X. But what I also like about him is he's treated as Metal Greymon. So if you Digivolve over, say, a Metal Greymon with him, you get the 5k both. You get the 5k deletion, and then you can Digivolve into him, and he'll still be treated as the Metal Greymon, so you still get the effect of your X antibody to gain the 3k. And then if your opponent does go and delete it, you can then trash rid of these 2 instead of your BT8 Metal Greymon, keeping the inheritable. Yeah.
No, that's super.
Being able to unsuspend.
Super valuable. He's another bit of protection clause. He's just another way to tower and to filter through your list. He can pop problematic rookies. There's a lot of memory blockers that could potentially cause issues that he can hit, or if your opponent's just spamming out rookies to try to make a push next turn. He's also really
precisely.
good. You can you can do the D-Digivolve play off of the Metal Greymon and then still potentially pop something. So you're really taking out like
Yeah.
2 bodies in a turn, which is so good.
Another funny thing about him is I mainly used him to take out Jerry's during the D-Reaper matchup, which was funny. Because I'd use the Digivolve into the Metal Greymon to pop, say, a Searcher or a Pendulum Feet or something, then Digivolve into him to then get rid of the Jerry. So I'm essentially clearing 2 bodies for 4 Digivolution cost, essentially, off of the Metal Greymon or less if I have Nokia on board.
Right.
And then, again, like you say, it's the Protection Clause, which is another delicate plan on legs, basically. All right, level 6s, we have the big boss himself, the 4 Blackwargreymon.
Definitely an MVP of a card. Does so much
Oh,
work. Always has a target.
People tend to build around Galmon. He's far stronger than Galmon, in my opinion. The fact that he's a blocker twice, if you have the Greymon under him. There was only about 1 game during the whole 15 games I played. I Digivolved over him with Galmon because the double blocker he gives you is just too strong. And then the Tamer Pop he gives you as well. If you're at 3 memory and your opponent has a memory setter, Digivolve into him, set them to 1, pop their memory setter, they're then at 1, and you have a 12k body on board with potential blocker.
That double block you're referring to is his all turns clause when he deletes something he unsuspends.
Yes, yeah. So you block with him. If the Digimon's deleted, you can unsuspend and then potentially block another attack if they have one. And the popping of Digimon and Tamers is really strong. The amount of times I had a full red stack and I was popping Tamers, like I was popping, say, a Searcher my opponent had and a Pendulum Feet or a Bubbles, just to be able to clear board and then swing over the mother with him, was kind of funny, to be fair. But he's, in my opinion, the much better card out of him and Galmon.
No, they definitely work, and the strength of Gaiamon seems to be going on top of him. Not to disrespect Gaiamon, and we'll talk about him here, I'm assuming, right?
Yeah, I played 2 of him.
Okay.
So he's the finisher of the deck, essentially. That's why he's in here. That's pretty much all he's used for, as the finisher of the deck. Or if you don't have a Blackwargreymon or the memory to be able to then pass over Blackwargreymon and then swing, you can go into him over a Metal Greymon, and because he has Blitzed, you can then swing over something. So he potentially gives you a destruction before your Blackwargreymon comes out. So he can help in that aspect, and plus then he can Digivolve. He has Reboot, so you can still swing with him and gain the blocker if you have the BT8 Greymon under him. So he's a very strong card, but Blackwargreymon is just better in my opinion.
Well, the nice thing about Gaiamon is that if you're playing the both of them in the same turn, your ability to pop and then go and swing with him and de-digivolve and reboot and check and get the buffs, it really hurts when you're just going straight into a Gaiamon sometimes. Because
definitely.
You're losing what feels like that value because he's so cheap. He's 2 to Evo off of the Black War.
Yeah, there was a game where I used him to choke my opponent at 1. So I had a memory setter on board with 2 Nokias. So I tapped 1 Nokia to Digivolve into a Blackwargreymon to pop their dudes, then swung with him, swung over their 2 dudes with Blackwargrey, and then tapped my other Nokia, Digivolving into him, passing 1, reboot, plus then blocker, because I had the BT8 Greymon under him.
Very important he has a 13k body.
Yeah, he has 13k base, which again, going back to the Metal Greymon X antibody, he's then 16k blocker if you have, again, the BT8 Greymon under him. And then he has Reboot, so like you say, you can swing freely with him. If you have any other buffs under him, he's always going to be bigger than 13 if you've gone over a Digimon with Koromon. So he's always going to be bigger than 13. He has potential protection with the Greymons in the Alteris modes, and then he reboots for a blocker. So he's very strong, but Blackwargrey, again, like I've said several times, is just better in my opinion for that double blocker and the deletions and such.
Okay. And you said no level 7s.
I play 1 level 7, which is Dexmon.
The Death X. Okay, right. No, that makes sense.
He did nothing.
Really?
Literally nothing. Every time I saw him, I had complete board state control. So every time I drew him, I was just like, I wish this was anything else.
Would you convert that to a Blitz Omni, you think?
I'm taking him out for an Omni X.
Omni X. Okay.
Omni X, because the Grandis matchup was horrible.
I can say from
So
experience that Omni X is an auto win against both Grandis and Armor.
yeah, so I'll be taking him out for. That's one of two changes I'd make is him for Omni X. But yeah, like I said, he did literally nothing.
That's unfortunate.
Every time I saw him, I just wished he was something else.
That's actually unfortunate.
Yeah, so it's a shame because I bought him on the day of the store championships as well to put in here to try him out. But as I said, he did nothing. So
still a house of a card, maybe just not in this specific deck.
Oh, definitely. He's still very strong, but for Nokia, going on to the Tamers now, she's an absolute beast. Coming out of security, just playing Agumon for free.
Such a good card. It's just like everything about Nokia is like in this deck almost weirdly functioning like a Geogreymon or a Cordramon. Because you're playing out a body and then they're not going to expect it and then they now have to deal with this body. Or else you get a poke potentially, or even a game win.
It's even funnier if she comes out on their last check and you can play a promo Agumon, because then you can Digivolve up that stack and just have a free 2k buff on anything you're playing. Or better yet, if you get a searcher off of her, you essentially just get an Agumon field for free and plus an extra hand. And then if you have an Agumon X in hand, you can then Digivolve that over the Agumon she brought out.
Now,
which is always nice.
I do want to ask you, obviously your Agumon selection, it's very tight, it's very to the point. There has been the tech of the original Tamer promo Agumon, or even the more recent Survive promo Agumon, the one that can pop that 3k range. Have you considered a one-up of that since you're just playing so many Nokias?
I haven't really looked into it, to be honest. I was just like, all my top end is basically destruction. So I don't really feel the need for it.
That makes sense.
I'd prefer the search to be able to make the deck more consistent, to be able to find the pieces when I need them, to be able to build up a big stack, to be able to swing over everything with my level 6s. So they are very good cards. I personally prefer the Survive one just because of the cheaper play cost.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I prefer the more consistency Searcher Agumons give you.
That makes sense. Okay.
But the second change I would make is I'd probably take out one Nokia for, say, something like Crimson Blaze or a Spread Destruction ability, because I feel 4 is just too much. One is fine on board if you have Nokia and a Memory Setter. It essentially gives you a Metal Greymon Digivolution for 3 cost, and then you can go into like a Blackwargreymon or something. Any more, if you have 2, that's fine. If you have 3, you're set. Basically, that's all you need. The 4th is basically just a flex spot. So that's the other change I would make.
Blaze or maybe an Atomic Megaloblaster.
Yeah, something like that. Or I was thinking about maybe a was it Guy Force Zero?
Guy Force Zero can be interesting. I did find some issues running it myself. It's a little bit underwhelming, sadly.
Yeah.
It's never exactly what you want to be.
That's a shame, because I was actually kind of looking forward to trying it. But if you've tested it out and said it's not great, then I won't give it a try. I'll go, like you say, like Crimson Blaze or the Megaloblaster. Or
even a Dark Gaia Force, or just...
Yeah,
you are
even a Dark Gaia Force.
You could get away with Ultimate Flare, maybe if you're considering some removal.
Ultimate Flare was another one I was thinking of, because Ultimate Flaring a Reaper is just funny.
I see 2 heroes. Okay.
Yep, 2 hero, best Tamer in the deck. I love this Tamer. This Tamer is so strong. The fact that you can swing with a level 5 and give any one of your dudes 2k, because I originally thought it was the Digimon swinging that you had to give the 2k, but it's anything. Mm-hmm. So if you have, say, a Greymon on board and a Blackwargrey, your Blackwargrey swings, tap hero to give this Greymon here 2k. So if you want to swing for security, that has a higher chance of surviving. So say like you've got your Wargrey X with a Promo Agumon and a Koromon. He's currently 9k. With him, he puts him up to 11. So the only thing really killing him is level 6s or 7s.
So this
and he's just the memory setter.
To the hero, are these your only 2 memory resetters?
I have one tie. One off tie as well.
I know Gordo was on multiple ties at a point. How do you feel about potentially looking at more than the 1 tie? Or do you you value the hero too much based on interaction you talked about?
I will stand by hero every day of the week. I personally prefer hero over tie because this is more of a control deck. The 2k buff, being able to swing over basically anything in the game with any one of my high end levels, whether it be level 5 or level 6. Hero is much better than that. Tie's just in here for when I've cleared out the board. There's nothing to come back at me to potentially clear my board back to then swing for game. To basically, when I get around to swinging for game, he just makes it quick and easy with the Gal one.
No, that makes complete sense.
So there was a time I had him on board and hero, and I had a Metal Greymon on board, which I digivolved then into a Metal Greymon X. Swung with that. I believe it was like 15k with the inheritables. Tapped this, putting him up to 17k, and because of the hit tie, he was swinging for 3 checks at level 5. I then digivolved into Blackwargrey, popping the 2 dudes, and said, like I said earlier, I basically had 15k blocker for my opponent's next turn.
And they're just not in a position where they can recover from that.
Yeah, precisely. Once you've cleared their board and you've started swinging for game, once you have an established Blackwargreymon stack, there's not really a lot they can do because you just swing over anything they play, clear their board, and then just swing at security with, say, the second swing, or keep it up if you have a blocker underneath if you want to check your security. Last 2 cards is just 2 Gaia Force.
You know, it just, you know exactly what you're getting with Gaia Force, I feel like. And against certain matchups, it's just so good. Against Grandis, that is such a good card. But
this actually won me the game against Grandis. Game 1 against Grandis, he did Grandis things, swung for like 6 checks, and then swung for game. Game 2, I had both of these in security, and first check was Gaia Force, built up another stack, and third check was another Gaia Force, and then after that he just couldn't recover. Too many pieces had gone to the trash. So this is definitely more viable or better in security than it is in your hand. Don't think I actually ever cast this from hand once.
No,
during the whole tournament.
Not playing Gaia Force. If you're playing Gaia Force, Ultimate Flare, Howling Crusher, any of these big options, you're not playing them to play from hand. You're kind of just banking on giving your security a level of insurance.
Oh, 100%, definitely. Yeah, I agree with that. Like, seeing this in security, you just have a massive sigh of relief. Even if they swing with their big stack and they have another stack on board, you just pop the other stack and then use your Digimon to get rid of that one big stack. Or if they have just the one big stack, you can just pop it with the Gaia Force if it's in security.
A more valuable card, too, if we end up getting that JP ban of the Dora Grey. Just,
if the Dora Grey gets banned, I am so happy. Because the amount of times during the game with Alphamon or Ex-Ante, they had Dora Grey, and I'm sitting there thinking, well, if I Digivolve your dude, I still can't delete you. Right. So I was just sitting there crying against the Alphamon matchup. The way I won against the Alphamon matchup is they swung with a Dora Grey, not realizing my Blackwargrey had blocker. And that was the only stack they had on board.
It's the greatest when you get those cheesy wins because someone just did not either listen to you when you played the card or didn't ask you in effect.
Yeah, exactly. This card is a godsend. Like, the BT8 Greymon saved my ass so many times. It's unreal.
So, do you believe you're going to be staying with this for the rest of BT9? Or at least a decent chunk of it?
Other than the changes I said I'd make, I'd probably stick to it. Like, I'm going to regionals in October. So this is probably the build I'll be playing for that.
Okay.
Because it's fun to play, it's strong, it just feels consistent. So
right. We've had, now, this will be our third red base Blackwargreymon deck with the channel. Do you have any input you would like to give on matchups, anything you saw, any traps you might have fallen into? Just in your testing or in general at your store champs?
Yeah, remember that searches under Mother give boosts to your dude, to their dudes, because my opponent played the D-Reaper with Rush and swung, and I blocked with my Blackwargreymon, completely forgetting that he had so many searches under his Mother that it put up to 12k, and it just crashed with my Blackwargrey, and I was like, oh, okay, now I hate myself. Again, don't be afraid to Digivolve Metal Greymon in the back, because it can save you. It saved me so many times. My opponent sitting there knowing I had a Metal Greymon in stack. If they play dudes out front, you just swing over them, stop them building stacks. If they bring their one big stack out, if they can't do enough damage to finish you that game, you just swing over it next turn. X Antibody is great if you can get him over Metalgreymon with the BT8 Greymon in stack. You're pretty much set because, as I said, you're a 15k, 16k blocker.
What would you say is your best piece of advice for your worst matchup?
Worst matchup will probably be Grandis or any sort of OTK deck. Keep a hold of your BT8 Greymons, your blockers, because they will save you. Regardless of whether your stack dies, they are your best chance of potentially surviving their matchups. Or Hope Gaia Forces and Security. That helps.
Okay, well, this is definitely interesting. It's nice to see the changes between you and Gordo, who are both playing the list. I really like this deck. I might be switching over to the Cult of Red Base, Blackwargreymon. We will see. But yeah, that is the deck profile. Thank you for sharing it with us. And
not a problem. Happy to.
Discord link's going to be in the description if you want to come here into Legion TCG, Discord, and test with myself, ComKid, anybody else. Please feel free. And ComKid, thank you for joining us for this deck profile.
Thank you for having me.
Okay. As always, have a wonderful day and stay safe.